Benji from Yugioh Gaming here with John with his second place Nationals deck profile. So tell us what you were playing
Hello.
and why.
All right, so I played Muskets at the online unofficial Nationals, coming in second. Did lose narrowly in the final to the superior column deck of Mech Knight Invoked. Unfortunately, was a close game though. Went to game 3.
Very interesting finals indeed.
It was quite fun. I feel like the deck has got quite good matchups against the whole field of meta decks rather than Rogue. But it still has a fairly reasonable time against Rogue. You play a lot of the good disrupting elements like Ash and Nibiru, and you can still just combo kill them out of nowhere. So I played 10 go second cards. So I played the set of Ash, set of Nibiru, set of Dark Rulers, and the 1 Mind Control. I feel like Ash is probably the most impactful, like 1-for-1 hand trap right now. Notably, I don't play any of the Veiler clones, like Veiler, Ghost Mourner, or Imperm, just because I feel like they're not as impactful as they would be in some of the other decks, like the Jet Synchron deck, where they have like 1-card starters that let them go into their full combo. This is more of a card-intensive deck, so you need a normal summon as well as a spell. So I felt like the additional hand traps that weren't, spells, weren't quite as effective. And additionally, I didn't need them to be tuners, which they can often be used for in the Synchro Eldritch deck. So I played the one of Mind Control as well, just because it's pretty good. You take
that card's too good.
Oh yeah, I resolved it like maybe once, but it was in there. It was pretty cool. So for the Musket lineup, I played 3 of the Stratos, which is pretty good. Triggers on your turn, triggers on their turn, gets you a lot of card advantage. Unfortunately, it is very small, so you don't kill them very quickly if it's just the only dude you have. Notably, it can search monsters as well as the spell and traps. So if I had enough disruption in my hand, I could search out another normal summon to continue the beatdown. Then I played 3 of the Starfire, which is the MX Saber Invoker, which almost always got me a Casper first up if I didn't have it. Then pretty much whatever I needed from there would be a Dock or a Kid Brave.
So basically you're playing 6 copies of Casper.
Exactly right. And as well as desires to see them, I almost always started with a Casper in play turn 1 or 2.
Nice.
Next one, I played 2 Dock. This one's the Recursion one. It adds back any musket card from your grave, notably card, rather than just spell or traps, and it doesn't target. So it gets around Call by the Grave and DD Crow, and that you can just add whichever one they don't call by the grave.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, so that came up a fair amount of times where they would, have a DD Crow or something and ask for targets. I'd be like, no, I think not. Only 2 of this one, just because it is only a 1400 beat stick, and it's not the biggest. The Kid Brave is slightly bigger, but that doesn't come up very often. I could definitely see playing 3 of this if you're looking to play a more grindy matchup. Next, I played 3 of the Kid Brave. This one is the trade-in. So discard a musket, draw 2, which helps you just churn through the deck and find your non-musket cards like your Ash, your Nibiru, things like that, as well as turning dead excess monsters into the spells and traps, which are significantly more impactful.
Yeah, so I suppose this is similar to Buffalo and the Salamangreat deck, I guess.
Yeah, exactly right. Helps you discard your excess copies of things and churn through into your good cards, which are not Salamangreat cards.
Exactly right, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't really want to have a handful of Salamangreat cards when you could have a handful of, Ash Veiler, things like that. The next 2 I'll talk about together just because they're pretty much the same card. The first one is Wild. It's the Daigusto Emerald. I never resolved its effect, but, it might come up in a long game. The other one is the Monster Reborn. Again, I don't think I resolved its effect, but it's those 2 are both mainly there to be additional names to summon off the max, which does require unique names.
We were actually talking about that in your game. The fact that you probably just play these more than not so that you can get full value off max as opposed to actually having to use them for their names.
Exactly right. And additionally, these 2 are level 4, so the Utopia Double Kill. Desires the way the other ones. It's helpful to have another level 4 name. And I could definitely see their effects come up if I was in a very long matchup, like against Altergeist or something. The extra recursion or the extra shuffle back your maxes and reuse them could definitely come up. But It didn't this event. But, I would definitely probably run them again. Maybe 2 of the calamities rather than the wild. But I would have to do more testing. Who knows? On to the musket spell and traps. I play 3 of the cross-dom, which is the imperm that sets him to 0. This one is fantastic. It's just, it hits everything. Hits the needle fiber, hits whatever they want to play, hits the lord in damage step, things like that. It's, pretty fantastic. This card
also kind of mitigates the fact that all your guys have kind of low attack, which is pretty cool.
Exactly right. So, it just gets around that, I guess. Helps you beat over pretty much anything because it is attack and defense to 0. Then, it beats things that tag out before the attack because you can just do it in damage step. Things like that. Fantastic card. Next one, I run a single Crooked Crown. This one is the summon from hand, and if you summon it to a main zone, it locks the column. I don't think I resolved it, but I would have if I needed to. In the semis, I could have if I needed, but I used it mainly to just trigger Casper and Starfire on my turn, as it doesn't require other cards to be in play, so I can just place it down. It's again, it helps with swarming the field as well, so you don't lose to a single kaiju, things like that. If I needed to, I can usually search it out and resolve it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it didn't really come up, but I would definitely run it again. I wouldn't cut it. Next one, I play 2 of the Dancing Needle, which is the triple Diddy Crow. That card is fantastic. Hits all the Eldlik spells and traps, hits all the, Adamancipator cards, so they can't summon their Block Dragon. Hits all the Salamangreat things.
I was going to say, this card seems very good right now.
It is fantastic right now. I would consider running 3, just so you can hard draw it and have the surprise factor, rather than searching it out and them trying to play around it. But I did almost no testing with this deck, so if I were to test, I would consider upping it.
So just out of interest, what was the thing that made you decide to play this deck?
So a friend of mine dared me to. Yuri Milenkov, I'm calling him out. He told me I would be too scared to play it, so I decided to run it back. But turns out it has good matchups against the field.
You sure told him, dude.
Yeah. We made it. It turns out it's pretty good against Eldlik.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, pretty funny. But
absolutely, I love it.
We made it. Next one, I play 3 of the Trident, which is the target face up puppet. It's the Desperado. That's another fantastic one. If I could run 4 of this, I probably would. It gets around big monsters. It pops spells and traps like the Eldlik cards. Pops Needle Fiber before they make the Link Cross. Just fantastic. You can also pop your own cards. So I've resolved a Max through a Veiler by popping the Max in response so that it would.
That's pretty nice.
So yeah, that comes up occasionally. Other than that, there's not much else to say. It's just an unconditional target face-up puppet. It's pretty good. Next 2, I play 2 of the Last Stand, which is the Negate a Spell and Trap. Notably, this one's a counter trap, which is fantastic. So you can negate the Salamangreat counter or the Eldlik counter. Unfortunately, though, it cannot negate a Judgment on your normal summon because you do have to control a face-up musket. As I did lose Game 3 in the finals because of that. So it was very unfortunate. But yeah, no, it's fantastic. It just,
I guess it's worth reiterating at this fact that, like, at this point, all these cards can be activated from the hand because of your musket monsters, which is just insane. Like, I don't think that part of the deck really gets enough credit. Like, it just means that you're safe from stuff like cyclones or anything like that in, like, a simplified game state. Yeah,
it plays like the Altergeist set 5 pass gameplay without actually exposing your back row to traditional spell and trap removal. So it adds a whole nother bluffing element, which is I quite enjoyed.
Yes, it is very nice.
Then on to the non-musket cards. I played 2 Called by the Grave. That should have been 3 Called by the Grave, but I misclicked and then didn't check the deck list before sending it in. So we ran it with 2, and yeah, I drew it occasionally. Every time I drew it, it felt great. I would have run 3 if I knew.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was looking at, and I was thinking, that's a bit funny, but no, that makes sense.
Yeah, this deck was poorly constructed the night before the event.
Do you think going forward you would play just 42 with another Called by the Grave in there?
Yeah, I would consider going to 42. I might cut something else, maybe like one of the Kid Braves or something along those lines. But I didn't do any testing, so I haven't really thought that far ahead. But definitely would run 3
This could potentially just be a deck going forward, right?
Yeah, it seems playable, assuming Eldic doesn't get hit. This had a very good matchup against that. So it very well could get a lot more testing. Not from me, because I'm lazy, but, other players who are interested.
Profile, right? Like, you guys come test the deck, make sure you break it.
Exactly, yeah. Hit me up with any changes. Then one of the best cards in the deck, Pot of Desires. Draw 2, trigger your Casper, which is effectively nets your 3 cards, which is pretty fantastic. The Banish 10 is almost negligible. I don't think I ever lost anything I cared about.
Yeah, well, that was one thing I was going to ask is, like, so you don't think, like, there was ever a world where you needed to bump up more copies because of this card or anything like that, or?
No, not really. Usually you can search out the 1-ofs you need and then keep recurring them after that if you desperately need them. And that's why I ran extra musket names, just so I could still resolve max for the full value after desiring. I think just having the raw card advantage is desperately needed in this deck because, again, it's quite a card-intensive deck. So you need you need your normal summon, you need your spell and traps to back it up. If you don't have one of those, it doesn't really do anything. So I think Desires is fantastic. If I could run more than 3 Desires, I probably would. It's quite powerful.
Yeah, the other cool thing is the way it trades with Ash in this deck. Because it's still like
exactly.
Yeah, you get Ash to still trigger your musket card.
Yeah.
Like
they still read it. Yeah, that was a quite interaction that came up a couple of times where they still triggered, which is nice. If their activation gets triggered, the muskets don't see them, but Ash doesn't negate activations, thankfully. So they still read the spell being activated, and you can still get your additional value. And I played 1 Upstart Goblin, which is pretty much just engage in this deck. As the meme, the 41 card with Upstart, but there is a lot of upside. It's not just
this is one deck where like I would never not play this card.
Exactly. If I could run 3 Upstart, snap in a heartbeat, I would. Card is just fantastic. It's like you normal summon, you resolve your Casper effect or your Starfire or what have you, and just mad plussing significantly more than other decks that would just run it for the draw 1.
Yeah, it's not about consistency. It's just about having another card that you can break even with.
Exactly. Yeah. Then the last spell in the main deck, I play 1 Double or Nothing for the kill combo. I bricked on that card too many times.
The classic.
It was very unfortunate. Thankfully, it didn't matter too much. I don't think I've ever failed a kill because I drew it. I could just kill them through other means. In the semis, I drew it and still was able to go for the kill. But yeah, I would definitely run it again. God is great. Just 10k damage over the top of anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And the good thing, in muskets, you can set something to 0 with cross dom and then beat over the top of it a lot easier.
Wow, yeah, no, that's true. And also, I'm sure that like a lot of people probably have no clue what's happening when you're playing these cards, so they're not playing around double or anything
exactly
like
right.
That.
So the surprise factor, you get them out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
You just snipe them for 10k. It's quite fantastic. And onto the side deck, you'll probably notice there's a lot of back row hate. This deck does struggle against decks like Altergeists, any of the Solemn Judgment decks. Because if you Judgment your normal summon, there's very little you can do about it. So you need to have quite a wide variety of cards to be able to remove those before you actually commit to your normal summon. So I played the Pancratops, I played 3 Cosmic Cyclones, same reason. I played 3 Lightning Storms, again, same reason, it's back row hate. I played 3 Evenly Matched, which, again, literally same reason, it's back row hate. It also has other upsides, same with Lightning Storm, but primarily there to deal with heavy back row decks.
Yeah.
Then I played the 1-hour Red Reboot, which, it's great. If that was a 3, I'd run 3. I resolved it against a Salamangreat opponent and asked him if he wanted to search. He said, of course, yes. And I only killed him because of the extra set. I got an extra summon off max.
Wow. Yeah.
If he'd said no, I would not have killed him that turn.
That's a nice little interaction.
Exactly right. It just gets you some extra plus, and they can't then flip those trap cards on you. So yeah, if I could run 3 Reboot Snap, I would in a heartbeat. Card is fantastic. Then lastly, I run the Artifact package. I run 3 Sanctums and a Scythe. That's if I'm made to go first against any of the combo decks, or if I win, or if I lose game 1 and I choose to go first against the combo decks, like Eldlik and I guess Salamangreat to that extent. It also triggers your muskets if you set it under it. It's just very powerful.
Yeah, no, one of the better going first cards for sure. How often did that come up where you wanted... What decks were you going first against?
I was going first against Adamancipator and Salamangreat if I lost game 1. So the Adamancipator deck, obviously I don't want to have to rely on hard drawing a hand trap to be able to beat them.
Yeah.
And Salamangreat, again, same reason.
And
I can disrupt a lot
with the Adamancipator deck, it's like even if you do draw the hand trap, there's no guarantee they're not just going to slap down a Guardian or something.
Yeah, exactly right. But whereas with Sanctum Scythe, I could wait for them to normal summon and then just Sanctum them there. And they can't really do a lot about it. I won. I played one Eldlik one Adamancipator the whole tournament, and I did beat him in game 2 because of the Sanctum Scythe interaction, where he summoned Link Cross. No, not Link Cross. Sorry, whatever the discarded card pop back row is called. I can't remember. Link Slayer, I think it is.
Right. Yep. Link Slayer.
Yeah, and he went to pop the Sanctum, and I chained, and it was quite a lot of value from there. He did scoop it straight up afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's very powerful, very impactful is the main thing.
Then, and you think that was all? Sorry. You think that was there anything in your side deck you think you'd change, or do you think you were pretty happy with the cards you played?
I don't really see a lot of it, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I ever drew the Evenly or the Lightning Storm, so I can't really comment on those too much, but I would consider running extra hand traps as disruption, given there's only, I think, 6 over the whole deck. So consider something like Droll and Lockbird, maybe, if there was a deck that draws a lot. I don't think there is in the format right now, so it's not that bad, but definitely consider other hand traps as opposed to this much back row hate, because it felt like overkill sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that, especially when the 2 best decks are both really combo decks. I suppose the Synchro Eldritch deck.
Yeah, exactly right.
Control deck as well, but I think you want hand traps for both of those decks.
Yeah, exactly. I would consider running Impermanence, probably, just because it's a spell, or a trap rather, to trigger your muskets. So it's extra upside. But other than that, I don't think I would change very much about it. Probably wouldn't run the Pancratops. I don't think I ever summoned it. But it's, if I did, I probably would have. It's a fairly solid card. I don't think it should
really
be one.
Nice. It's just, it does
just
more than one thing.
Yeah, and it's 26. It's the biggest thing in the deck. So, it can sometimes beat down. Oh, also, in the main deck, I would run Parallel Exceed if I redid this deck.
Oh, right, yeah. That card does seem like be really good.
Card is very powerful. Lets you chain block Max as well. So, just resolving the Max is pretty much FTK. You go Chain Link 1 Max, Chain Link 2 Exceed, and you've probably won from there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, that's definitely something to think about going forward.
Oh, yeah. Definitely would change that up. For the extra deck, I went into almost none of it. I summoned the Max, I summoned the Utopia Double package, and I summoned Trisbino once. Other than that, it's all just utility things that might have come up. The Borrow Load if they summon an Avramax or something that I can't deal with, or the Borrow Sword if I desperately needed to kill them. The various Nightmare cards, they may have come up. Nagirisu, again, maybe. Security Dragon, I honestly don't know why that's in there. I don't know.
Well, I guess it's like Max, right? Like if you go Max, summon a bunch of guys, the Cerberus and the Unicorn definitely the Cerberus and the Phoenix definitely make sense there.
Exactly, yeah, and they're usually co-linked with a summoner to the Max, which is quite a lot of upside.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just like Max just seems like it gets to a point where it's just scapegoat.
Oh yeah, definitely. Max is a very powerful card. It's adds up to 5 or 6 or summons up to 5 or 6, very, very powerful if you resolve it. I don't think I lost a game where I resolved Max for 3 or more.
Wow, yeah, no, that did. It's funny, right? Like, this deck was already kind of cool before, and then I remember when this card came out, I just read it, I was like, oh wow, that like I really hope nobody summons this card on me. Like,
yep, it's a very powerful Link one, probably one of the most powerful Link ones in the game, barring like Link Cross. But the one downside is that it's only got 1,000 attack. It's very small. And if you get Ashed or Veiled on it, you probably are going to lose.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the whole point of this deck is the trades, right? Like, if you can trade and then have this card be the last card you play, you probably just win.
Exactly right. So you'll try and bait out the Ashe with Desires or Casper effects, and same with the Veiler, etc. And just try and gradually grind them down until you can resolve it and just win the game on the spot. The XC cards I ran in a Abyss Dweller and an Exciton Knight. The Dweller I definitely run again. I probably wouldn't run the Exciton Knight just because I don't feel like I ever needed it. Something I would definitely run in the future would be an Access Code Talker, just because that card offers a lot of OTK potential, which, if I've Desires away my double or nothing, would be quite beneficial. I didn't miss it because I forgot about the card as I was building, so I didn't even think of the option. But in going forward, I would definitely run it.
Yeah, Access Code seems really nice.
Yeah.
Just another card you can climb into.
Exactly right. When you summon 5, you can sort of do what you want from there. An Access Code gives you a lot of extra pops and then damage, especially over the top of a cross-dominationed monster. Other than that, I think I've already talked about the changes I would do.
Yeah, for sure. So I suppose one more thing I will ask you is, what were your matchups? Like, what decks did you play throughout the tournament?
So in Swiss, I versed 2 Eldlik, 2 Salamangrate, 1 Adamancipator, and 1 Mech Invoked in the last round. The only loss was to Salamangrates in round 1. My opponent drew very well, and it was it was a good game, but he did get me there. Get himself there, rather. Then, I didn't lose to an Eldlik at all. Then in the semis, I versed Eldlik again. Different player, though. Then in the finals, I had a rematch of Mech Invoked, and he did win in game 3 there. But in the Swiss, it was definitely meta the entire time, other than the Mech Invoked at the end.
Yeah, so I suppose you felt pretty safe when you were up against Eldritch.
Absolutely. I feel like it is a very good matchup against Eldlicks.
No, very good.
Unless they lead with a Lord, pop your normal summon, I feel like you usually can't lose.
I suppose going forward, the other thing I was probably going to ask you before I saw the ban list last night is what changes would you make for the list and how would you go forward? But I guess there's not really much to talk about outside of Altergeist. Maybe, but you already seem pretty geared to beat that.
You'd have to. I don't know. It's got a bad matchup against Judgment decks, so I think Altergeist are not a good matchup for us.
So maybe going forward, maybe put some Cosmics in the main or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Some sort of extra backer removal. Maybe even Lightning Storm in the main, who knows, rather than Dark Ruler. Right,
yeah. And that's the other thing I was going to ask. Dark Ruler, how often was this card good and how often was it not good?
I only resolved it a couple of times, but the times I drew it, it came in clutch every time. I boarded it out against Salad Mangrate, obviously, but yeah, it's pretty much dead there. It was great against Eldlik. The Synchro variant specifically, the one that ends on a lot of negates. It helps you punch through that. Helps you punch through, without destroying the monsters, so you can still max for full value. I think it's quite powerful in this deck.
Yeah, the only issue we had with Dark Ruler was that if they were playing the VFD package, it kind of just became a blank card. But I think people
that's true, and
away from
that. VFD is definitely a card, but this deck doesn't really lose to VFD.
No,
you're getting normal from an
ways
pass
to deal with
anyway.
it, like Desperado and Cross Dom, right?
Well, that too, but the fact that it just doesn't impact you Like, I was only going to normal summon pass anyway. You VFD'd me, like, it changes nothing, right?
Yeah, no, I see that. I suppose, like, if they're putting all their resources into that and it's just stopping you from activating one effect that really didn't do anything in the first place, I can see that.
Exactly right. Whereas if they're going to synchro for a Savage Dragon and a Herald and such, that's quite a bit more impactful than the one VFD.
Yes. All right.
As well as VFD just dies to Nibiru anyway.
Yeah.
So if you draw that one, you're fine.
Well, I suppose we'll wrap it up. Do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
Shout out to Yuri for scrubbing out at States and then telling me to play this one. Shout out to the Gosford local lads for roasting me for losing the finals. And that's pretty much it. Shout out to my boy Benji for commentating.
Oh, thank you.
And my boy Simon as well. That was clean commentary. And thank you to Yahweh and Bowden for organising it.
Yeah, well, looking forward to maybe doing some more of this sort of stuff with Oz Yugioh tournaments, so we'll see what happens going forward. Yeah,
definitely.
Thanks heaps for the deck profile, dude.
No worries. Cheers for your time.
All right, catch you guys.